How's it going? It's Fox here for Sound Design Tutorials. Today we're going to be going over the second part of the three-part series of how to make a layered supersaw trance sound. In the first part we made the high end of the sound with the Access Virus TI. I've bounced that down to audio now, which is what you have to do with the Virus because it's a hardware synth. So this is what we did last week. And what we're going to be going over today is the sort of mid-range part to the sound. We're going to be making this with Native Instruments Massive. This is what it sounds like on its own. It's the effects and the modulation that we've got going on with the modulation oscillator that give it that phasing sound. I wanted that to sort of beef the middle part of the sound up. So right, we'll go into a new sound and I'll show you how I made it. Oscillator 1, 2 and 3 are all the same. We use all three oscillators, so click them all on. We use a square saw wave 1 for all three of them, which is what it is at default. Keep all the wavetable positions as they are from default and all the intensities. The only thing we need to do is just pull the amp down on oscillator 3 slightly to about 4 o'clock. Oscillator 1, we want to detune this slightly to about plus 0.25. Oscillator 2, this wants to go negative 12. If you hold the Alt button and then click down on the box, it does it in octaves. And we want to detune this to 0.07. This one wants to go up 1 octave. And then push this down to 11.82. It just keeps them all slightly apart from each other and gives it that detuny sort of sound. Oscillator 1 you want to keep on spectrum. Oscillator 2 you want to keep on spectrum, but oscillator 3 we change to a formant. All three of them are going to be routed to filter 1. It's the only filter that we use for this, so you can go ahead and push them all up to the top. So it goes through filter 1. Okay, I'll show you the sound, just the oscillators on their own. Quite static at the minute, but it's going to get a lot better. Modulation oscillator we do use, click that on. I'll pitch this up 1 octave to plus 12. Pull the phase down to pretty much 0, just one of them little notches above 0. And what I did use was phase for oscillator 2. I use an envelope to modulate this. We used envelope 1. So if you click on envelope 1, pull the attack back all the way so it's nice and snappy, and just push the decay level up slightly to about 1 o'clock. Pull the release back to about 6 o'clock. If you click on this little cross area in the first modulation box, drag it over to the phase knob, drop it in there, and push it up. It's just that tiny little bit, 2 of them little white notches. Noise oscillator we use, push the colour all the way around to the right so it's nice and bright. Push the amp up to about 9 o'clock. We use envelope 1 to modulate this as well. Pull this down, click it to that box, and push it up to just below the A, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Again, route this just to filter 1 as it's the only filter we're going to be using. Feedback we use as well, turn it on, route this to filter 1 also. Push the feedback mix up to about 10 o'clock. Okay, I'll show you it now with the modulation oscillator, noise and feedback. Okay, we'll go to the filter section now. So the only filter we use is filter 1, so you can turn filter 2 off. Make sure this is on serial, not that it really matters. Make sure the mix 1 and 2 is all the way to the top, going straight through filter 1. Change this to a low pass 2. Push the cutoff all the way around to the top and then pull it back ever so slightly, just 2 of those notches. Pull the resonance all the way back. Okay, so we might as well go to the inserts now. Click on the insert. The first insert we use is a parabolic shaper. This just gives a bit more, I don't know how to explain it really, it just gives a bit more high-end sort of frequencies, makes the sound a little bit more a bit more zingy. Insert 2, turn it on. This is a sine shaper, this is a form of distortion. Pull the dry wet back to about 7 o'clock, and pull the drive down to about 11 o'clock. Okay, with those two effects then. Okay, we'll go to the voicing section now before we do the FX1 and FX2. If you click on the voicing tab, push the unison up to 6 because we want it to be quite a rich, thick sound. Keep it on polyphonic. We'll turn all three of these boxes on. We're going to do something with each one of these. For the pitch cutoff, push this crossfader up so you can just see the first little white line creeping out the bottom behind the crossfader. We use envelope 1 to modulate this, so click on the first crosshair, pull it over to that box, click on it, hold it, and then drag it down as far as it will go. So this envelope is going to modulate this crossfader from the position it is to 0 over the time that the envelope sets it. Wavetable position, keep this as it is at standard, at dead 0. We're going to use this envelope 1 again, drag it to that box, push this up about the same amount as we did the first one down, about 2 or 3 of those little white notches. Turn the pan position on, which we have done already. Push this up to about 2/3 of the way between mono and full. This pans the new voices that the unison has given us to left and right. So yeah, that's it for the voicing section. Any other thing I did in the oscillator section, check this box here, restart via gate. And that means it's going to restart all the phasing and all the feedback and stuff every time a new note comes in. Okay, I'll show it now. Right, FX1 we use reverb. Push your dry wet round to about 2 o'clock. Pull the size back ever so slightly to about 11. Push the density up slightly to about 1, and the colour all the way around as far as it can go, so it's a nice bright reverb. FX2 we use a dimension expander. This is really good on sort of leady sounds, a dimension expander. It just makes everything sound wider and a bit more fuller. Keep the dry wet where it is. Push the size around to about 2 o'clock. EQing we use as well. Click it on. We boosted the low shelf to about 2 o'clock. Push the boost up to about 1. And the frequency to about 1. And the high shelf to about 1 o'clock. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much the sound done then. I didn't set up any macro controls or anything like that because it's just a basic supersaw sound. So I'll show you this sound now it's finished, and then I'll show you it so you can see how it fits into the sound as a whole. Okay, there you have it. I've got some basic EQing on this channel. It's nothing special. I've just rolled off the lows and the highs and the lows just to keep it in check, and I've just boosted the mids ever so slightly because this is what the patch is doing, the mid part of the sound. For the sound that we did last week, the virus, after I bounced it down to audio, I've done a little bit of mid-side EQing just to boost the highs, and same standard EQ just to keep anything outside the audio range in check. So yeah, that's it for today. I will be showing you the third part, which is the lower end of the sound, which we made with Silent 1. I'll show you that on its own, quick. This is the patch that I made. It's really straightforward. It's just 4 saw waves and then a bit of modulation with the envelope and that. So yeah, this is what we'll be going over next time. Yeah, nothing special to this sound really, it's just 4 sine waves, all slightly detuned from each other. Bit of distortion, bit of chorus and a bit of reverb. Okay, so yeah, that's for the next one. I hope you learned something today. As always, any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, thanks, bye.